Greetings YouTube and welcome back to my channel. I have been so enjoying riding this old Bonneville around, using it as my everyday transport, and to be honest it's taken a bit to get it out of retirement. It was a barn find, as you know if you've been following the channel. It was after just being a couple of years old. It was locked away in a farmer's barn, open-sided barn, and left for 19 years, and when I got it, 3,500 miles on the clock. I've done quite a few more now, and there have been teething problems getting it up and running properly, fuel issues, spark issues. It needed the whole fuel system cleaning out, and it also needed a new coil to get it running. It is now running sweet as, I have to say. It really is a joy to ride. However, that set me back the best part of £500 getting that all together and on the road, and using it has worn out the rear brake pads. I've got a grinding noise and a bit of vibration on the rear pedal, so I can't afford to take it to the garage. So for the first time ever for me, I'm going to put a set of brake pads in the back. I'm going to point out this is not a tutorial. I'm sure there'll be many people in the comments going, "Oi, that's not how you do it." I'm sure it's not. I'm working it out as I go along with the help of this. If only I had one of these for the DR600 that's completely in bits behind this bike, it would be much easier. If anybody knows of one, hit me up please. Anyway, let's get our hands mucky and see what happens. Let's have it. Right, so welcome to my workshop. This is my small garage where I have no room to do anything particularly, but we'll make do. At least I'm not out in the street doing it. So I've got the tools laid out that I need. Sockets to get the caliper off. Some copper grease, which I went and bought, which they say to lubricate the back of the pads and the pistons. The manual. Old toothbrush, soapy water. The old toothbrush is actually my current toothbrush, so when I take the bike out, hopefully if it all goes well and I take it out to bed the brakes in, I'm going to go and buy a new toothbrush. Some Allen keys in my trusty old Allen key tin, and my first job, it says, is to put some freeing agent on there, on these two caliper pins, to help me to get them out, and I have to loosen them off but not take them right out. And once I've got those loosens off, I can then undo these two, which when I come to tighten them up again, they have to be back at 28 Newton meters, which immediately creates a problem because I don't have a torque wrench, so I'm gonna have to go and borrow one. I'll sort it out. We'll get by. And then I will reassemble it, hopefully with the pads in place and everything goes okay. It says take particular attention of the spring assembly as you take the pads out. Once I've got everything apart, I have to use soapy water to clean it all up, and then as I say, re-grease the pistons and the back of the pads and reassemble it. Let's see what happens. Being careful not to get anything on the disc. Give that a moment to soak in. Okay, let's see if we can loosen these off. That's super tight. I'll try a bit of extra leverage. There we go. Guessing that's not a great quality Allen key as it's bent. I've probably got others. So I definitely feel I need to invest in a proper toolkit, especially as I'm supposedly restoring this DR600, which is just taking forever. due to other commitments, lack of know-how and tools, etc. Right, next thing to do is get these off. So these are 14mm. A bit tight getting in there with the exhaust. That was actually easier without the extension on. It wasn't in the way of the silencer. Now this should just pull off. There we go. So far so slow. Now the disc is a little bit scored, but it's not too bad. It doesn't feel really like ridged. It's, I think the worn pads have marked it a bit. It says minimum 5mm thickness. Now there's way more than that. I don't even need to put a micrometer on it or anything. I can see there is way more. So now I've got to try and get these pads out. So it means removing the pins fully, and then they should just pull out. Now the manual does clearly state that due to the fact there may be asbestos present in the pads, you should wear a mask. Now I'm going to wear a mask. I'll be very surprised if there is asbestos present in these brake pads. I think it was banned in 1996 or something. I don't know, in the UK. And this bike was made in 2005. Anyway, I'm going to play on the safe side and put a mask on and have a look. I'm hoping the pads don't just fall out. The spring should be retaining them, the little plate, because I need to see what they're doing before they come out, so I can put them back in the correct way. So that is one worn out brake pad. There is virtually no friction material left on that at all. In fact, I'd say there isn't. So that's a bit weird, because the bike, when I bought it, just like 3,500 miles on the clock, and I've only done another, doubled it basically. However, the history of this has been proven with all the old MOTs and the service history, so it's a bit weird. Anyway, right, I may not even need to. Yeah, that one's equally a shot. I may not need to take the spring assembly out. That's down the bottom, down in there. I may just get away with it. Everything looks a bit disgusting. I'm going to give it a clean and then grease up some bits. Hopefully the pistons will still move. They look horrible. Actually, to be fair, it's cleaning up pretty well. I don't think it's quite as bad as it looks. A bit difficult with this pipe. What I might find is maybe the disc is too far gone and I'll be replacing the disc. Definitely has a little bit of light scoring on it. We'll see. Right, so getting a little bit of copper grease on these pistons. And I'm going to work that in with a cotton bud or something. Okay, in the absence of a cotton bud, I am improvising. That's okay. Right, just work that around the base of the piston. Right, that is the pistons pretty much coated in copper grease. So to put the other ones in, apparently you put some copper grease on the rear of the plate, making sure you don't get any on the friction surface, because obviously that's not going to help the situation at all. And this is supposed to stop squealing and just aid movement. Some people say you don't need to. I was watching the Revzilla channel, which is a go-to for really helpful advice, and is it Ari? I don't know. He said not to bother. He says you just make a mess, but I figure I might as well try and do it. Yeah, let's do it and try not to get any on the actual friction material. I'm not going to put much on, just a little bit. And I'll smear that on. I have no idea whether that's going to help, but we'll try it anyway. Obviously, I welcome people in the comments saying you should have done it this way, etc., because then I'll learn, which is what it's all about, isn't it? So these are going back in. It's this way. And what's the problem I'm probably going to have is I won't be able to force the pistons back easily. I may have to take the reservoir cap off to do so. We'll see. That is not going to fit though by a long shot. Okay. I do need to take off the brake fluid reservoir cap so I can push them back and hopefully not make a mess. It's off with this, and that will let some of the pressure off so I can push the pistons back, hopefully. Seat off next. Right, so next take this off, and hopefully that'll allow me to get the pistons back a bit. That screw right underneath that plate. Okay, it's just one thing after another trying to get stuff off. Maybe I can do this. Take this one off and then just swing that round. This is why I'm really hoping I don't end up with a whole load of brake fluid going everywhere. Right, that has at least given us room to move the fluid up as I compress the piston, hopefully. did say. Oh, that moved ever so slightly. But is it enough? So I've given myself a bit of clearance now. See if I can get them in again. Okay, it's that way. So the pistons seem quite a long way back now, but it's getting the actual pad to sit in the gap. It's going to be the challenge at the moment. It doesn't want to go. I don't know why. So to get this pad to fit in to the caliper, I've had to file away a little bit of excess material on the edge, and now it just goes in. But I mean, that should be right in the first place. It's just getting the pistons compressed enough now to get it back over the disc, and then we're nearly home and dry. But I have been on this for a while. Okay, with much fiddling, I finally got the pads back in. I got the pistons pushed back far enough. I cleaned the disc up a little bit. It's a bit disgusting. Actually, it's not as bad as it looks. I've got a sneaky feeling that my first ride might be straight to the garage, which I should have probably taken it to in the first place, but we'll see. Certainly, I understand how a caliper and the pistons work now, where it was a bit of a mystery before. Let's see if this is going to offer itself up. Well, I've created enough of a gap between the pads now to get the caliper back on the disc. We'll see what happens when I tighten stuff up again. Obviously I've got to torque up the bolts on the actual caliper itself. And we'll see if it frees off. I've got a sneaky feeling it's just going to be snagging on the disc the whole time, but we'll find out in a second. Yeah, I know that's got to go to 28 newton meters, but at the minute I'm just pinching them up just to see if the wheel will actually turn. Which it will. It's obviously binding a little bit at the minute. I don't know, we'll have to just see what's what in a second. Okay, I'm going to put the reservoir cap back on, and then put the seat back on. I've got to tighten up the pins on the caliper. I will do that now, actually. Nearly forgot. Doesn't give me a torque setting for these pins, so I'm just going to pinch them up, put a bit of leverage on them like I had to use to get them off, and see where we go from there. I did grease the pins before I put them back in with copper grease, so the pads move freely on them. Hopefully they will. So definitely push some brake fluid back out through the system, because it's just dripped down onto the floor. Right, spin the wheel and see what the brake pedal does. Probably nothing now. No, that gripped it. Right, next plan then is to get the seat back on, tighten the caliper to the bike properly with a torque wrench, which I'm gonna have to go and nip and just borrow because I don't own one. And that's on the shopping list. Certainly as the DR600 goes back together, obviously. And then I'll put the seat on, and then I'll take it for a little ride around, 15 miles an hour, like they say, bed the brake in, then up to 30, and sort of spend 20 minutes bedding it in and see where I'm at. And if that's successful, then that's probably saved me, I don't know, £100 or 120 in labour or something, if I'd have taken it to a garage. It has taken me, I mean, I'm being honest here, so far I've been on it about 2.5 hours. But like I said, this isn't, by no stretch of the imagination, is this a tutorial video. This is me having you guys part of my everyday motorcycling life. This is my everyday transport now. I don't own a car. So I've got the GSA, I've got the Bonneville, and between the two, I've got to keep them going, and I can't afford to spend loads and loads of money on all of them. So it's learning as I go along. And, you know, if it helps anybody and they fancy having a go on their own, then great. Or if nothing else, it will show you how not to do it. I have these quick release seat bolts, which in theory save you having to use a tool, which is pretty good, but I still pinch them up with an Allen key just in case one decides to go astray. Right, let's see if it sort of works. So I've just consulted the manual. Again, I haven't torqued up the bolts yet. I've got to still go and get that. But I've just consulted the manual and I misread it. It was the front caliper, 28 Newton meters. So all of you that have been screaming at the screen that I've got it wrong, you were right. I had got it wrong. It's 40 Newton meters for the rear caliper. So that's the last job. Just wheeling it up and down my driveway and then just trying the brake. It seems to work. So I'm going to go and get hold of the torque wrench and then finish it off, hopefully, and then take it for a spin. I will be very, very happy if this has worked. Well, folks, I seem to have done a thing, as Jeremy Clarkson would say on Clarkson's farm. Having pinched, or rather tightened, those rear caliper bolts up to 40 Newton meters in torque, I'm now out on a test ride and I can confirm I have a back brake that doesn't make a noise, it doesn't grab, it doesn't squeal, it doesn't grind, the foot pedal isn't doing that underneath me. Happy days. So it took me a long time to do, start to finish probably 3 hours I would say. Having said that, a lot of time was lost just trying to get the new pads to fit, and I think where they've been stamped out, the base material that the friction material was applied to, it was slightly oversized and there was a bit of a burr. So once I filed off the edges, which took quite a while, it then slipped in and fitted okay, and then it went back together all right. So I lost probably a good hour in filing and then another hour of mucking about, working it out. But anyway, got there in the end, glad to say. So as I did mention earlier right at the start of the video, and I also mentioned a little while ago, this is not, that could be interesting, old 404 or something. This hasn't been a tutorial. If you want a tutorial on how to change the brake pads on your Bonneville or any bike indeed, just go to somebody else, it's not me. This is just me sharing with you my everyday motorcycling life. I mentioned earlier again that I no longer have a car in my name. This is my everyday transport and I'm loving it. And obviously stuff is going to wear out, consumables will need replacing, like brake pads, and I'm learning how to do it as I go along. It's never too late, I say. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications bell thingy, all that stuff, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.